Yo, I hit record this time, so
One beer, two beers, three beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita, and a Bloody Mary.
Homeboy tripping, he ain't know I got a gun. When it come to pop, man, we do shit for fun. You ain't got one, brother, you better run. Now I'm in the back getting head from my huns. While she going down, I break it off what I done. Smoking on my blunt, saying she ain't having fun. Bitch, give it back then, you don't need none. Everybody in the club getting tipsy. Everybody in the club getting
welcome
tipsy.
back, everybody. It's the boys from Illinois, the Pub Time Podcast. And tonight I have a very special guest, the Gypsy King, the Beast from the East, Beans from Tall Boy Radio. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm not too bad, thank you. That's an interesting intro of the Gypsy King. I've never been called that before, but yeah, I'll take it.
I think you should steal it.
No, I ain't taking that from him, dude. That guy can look after himself.
Fight him for it. What do you think about that?
No, man. No, I don't think about that. He's got 4 inches on me to begin with as well, so he's got a better reach, and I'm going to suggest that he can hit a little harder than I can as well.
He's probably got some lifts in them boots. He's not nearly that tall.
Oh, no, dude, he is. He's a big dude. He is a big dude. He's huge.
Give yourself a little credit. You're big too. I mean, shit. I think you'd knock him out.
No, man, he's like 6'9". He's 6'9". You saw that hit that he
on
took
a good
against
day.
Deontay Wilder. Yeah, even on a bad day, dude, he's still got the inches on me. But yeah, that hit he took from Deontay Wilder, and then he gets straight back up. Yeah, that guy's a little bit different.
Let's be honest. Wilder looks the part, okay?
Ooh.
But I don't think he's the fighter everybody thought he was.
No. Don't get me wrong, Tyson Fury. He's not. If he were to fight 20 years ago, nobody knows him. He's just, he's getting, the likes of Tyson would destroy him.
What about Evander Holyfield?
Yeah, I think he would. Yeah,
so?
Yeah, I think these guys are better than he is. I wouldn't say it to his face, but yeah, I think these guys are better than him.
You're just gonna say it to a couple 100,000 listeners here on the pub.
Exactly. And hopefully none of them's him.
Oh shit, I don't know. Maybe in 10 years. How have you been? How are things in the
here in the UK? I tell you what, it's good. It's really good. But yeah, so we're recording weekly on a basis now with Tall Boy Radio, trying to get a couple extra in the bag. So we've got some holidays coming up, and yeah, we're enjoying it. Loving life.
Weather's starting to break over there or what?
Supposedly. But, the weatherman's telling us we've got snow coming again next. No, we don't get snow like you get snow there in Illinois, but yeah,
still just enough.
Yeah. Just enough to make driving unpleasant.
All right, so we were talking the other day about getting this thing together. I told you I was just kind of laying around, came across something. This is not a usual 5 for 5, but I thought it'd be something interesting to talk about. So 5 for 5 tonight, favorite clowns. And I said politicians are fair game. So it doesn't have to technically, your job doesn't have to necessarily be a clown. You just have to portray one.
Yeah, it's interesting that. I'll be honest with you, I haven't put any politicians in mind. I've gone straight up clowns. So we had a clown for prime minister. Well, just about every prime minister we've had has been a clown, but the likes of Bojo or Bozo the clown, as we used to call him. Yeah, I could have very, very easily put that guy in, especially with his mop of white hair that he had. You know what I mean? He looked like a clown. He looked the part.
Maybe my political entry I can hold off as an honorable mention.
No, man, if you want to put him in, you put him in. And I'm guessing, is this
it was a whole group. It was a whole group. Capitol Hill was a whole group.
Oh, okay. So, I thought we were going to be chanting "Let's go, Brandon."
So I'm watching. I guess I did watch. I watched a clip of it. State of the Union, which would have been maybe 2 weeks ago. The guy standing at the microphone rambles something into, it was not audible what he said. Every fucking person in that place still continued to clap when he finished whatever that sentence was, which just blows my mind. I couldn't imagine just blindly agreeing with whatever. The clip was bad. I mean, it was hard to watch, let alone had to stand there.
It's not even an isolated incident, though. This is what I can't get my head around. At what point does someone stand and step in and intervene with that situation? Because we're looking over it like, don't get me wrong, we have a little bit of chuckle at the guy.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, this guy's clearly got some form of dementia. You know, it's not. It is funny when he comes out with his, his whatever he says when he's rubbing his eye.
Correct.
It ain't really funny. There's a guy that's struggling, hasn't really got a clue what he's doing. And some of the stuff he says is downright concerning.
Yeah, and the fact that it seems like half the people are just blind to it. The other half, maybe they go a little too far with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They take punches at it every chance they get, but it's definitely a weird situation.
And I can't get my head around it.
Awkward, like you said.
Yeah, but you think that half the problem is you got like Kamala Harris. So, is it the case that nobody really wants to see her as president?
Oh, she's got to be licking her lips. I mean, she's just hoping that guy gets a good cold or something. Wouldn't you think? I mean,
you'd have thought so, but I think that's the reason. I reckon that's why they got her on board, and that's how they got her on board.
Talk about a weirder pair of running partners than those two.
No, yeah, it's strange. It's
strange.
So
for sure.
When's your next election?
Oh God, I don't know. I have no clue.
Is it like 2 years?
More years?
Yeah, you got 2 more years. You think he'll run again?
24, I guess. God, I can't imagine. And I almost feel like if he does, they have to give him the nod, but you feel like somebody would advise him not to. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not working now, so do you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be like 6 years from now. Whoever is his running mate that time, literally be guaranteed it if he gets in.
Yeah, I think it's been a really long time since we've had one die in office, but I think that's something you wouldn't want to become. And I mean die like of natural causes, not JFK style. So
yeah. Well, I guess you wouldn't really want either,
Has UK ever had a prime minister assassinated? I don't know if I know that or not. One?
Yeah, one. I can't remember who. I can't remember his name, but there was a statue to him in the House of Commons. He was shot leaving there.
I didn't know that. I was wondering.
Yeah, I should know. I did politics at A level, but yeah, there's a statue to the guy inside the House of Commons. Forget his name, but yeah, he was shot
early 1900s.
Yeah, I'm gonna. No, I'd say it's 1800s.
After Churchill. Oh, okay. So
yeah. It's going back. It's before my time.
Gotcha. All right, so you want to start this thing off with who's your 5?
I tell you what, dude, this was a tough one. This is a tough one because trying to pick 5 clowns in itself it ain't easy. So my number 5, I'm not really that happy with it, really, because he was literally the face of corporate greed. Yes, Ronald McDonald.
I love it. Yeah,
that guy's got to be in there, hasn't he? Yeah. So
what's McDonald's like over there? Is it worth the
Yeah. I guess to be honest with you, it ain't that different than it is over there. So I've been to a few McDonald's in the States, late at night when I've had a few beers, and I don't think it's that different. And it's one of those things like you see those. I think if you go abroad, you want to try some local food, but every now and then, especially when you've had a few beers, you need some comfort food. And McDonald's over here, obviously, is probably as big as it is over there. It's a big deal.
Yeah, you have a good idea what you're getting. Should fairly taste the same. See, I guess I didn't know ingredients wise. I know overseas there's a lot of things that Americans are allowed to consume hand over fist that they just don't serve other places for certain health concerns.
Yeah, there's probably some. I know they say like the patties over here are like 100% beef.
That's a great thing to have. I mean, I could imagine eating anything that isn't.
Yeah, you say that, but I'm they say that, but I'm not entirely convinced that it's as and it's also I think they say that it's British as well, but I could be wrong.
British beef?
British beef, yeah. Good old British beef. Yeah, and actually, if you go to some of the ones in France, I'm sure they serve beer in McDonald's in France.
That's amazing. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
UK doesn't
No,
take place? No.
no, man, they don't even do root beer anymore.
Too civilized for that.
Yeah, well, I don't know, dude. If you've ever been at Preston on a Friday night, ain't that civilized?
I was about to say, I thought I disliked the French for everything, but I'm gonna have to give them a nod for that one. Beer to McDonald's.
Well, this is the other thing, dude. Clowning as well. That's a big part of French culture.
Huge. Huge.
Yeah,
And
so yeah.
my first choice, my number 5 is the OG, the original.
Marcel?
Joseph Grimaldi.
Oh, okay, that guy.
The first guy to put the grease paint on. He basically created the character as Joey in a basically it was just a live performance of play. But because we're talking like 17, he was born in 1778. So
It's and this is so a couple of episodes ago on Turbo Radio, we did something called Room 101. I don't know if you're familiar with that concept over there. So
No.
Room 101 was from George Orwell's 1984, and it was they put all the stuff that they just wanted to forget about. So over here we have a TV show called Room 101. So all the stuff you hate gets put into Room 101. One of the things that Gaz wanted to put into Room 101 was clowns because he don't like them.
Oh, I hate them, huh? Scared.
I mean, well, he says no, but I think so.
Yeah. What other reason would you hate a clown? You know, they're the happiest people on earth. For what reason, I don't know, but
well, I think this is the thing with the clown, and like you said it there with the grease paint. As soon as you stick that grease paint on, it's a mask, and that's the whole point of the clown. They're unpredictable. You don't know what they're going to do next. Are they going to be funny? Are they going to scare the shit out of you? Doesn't really matter. That's the whole point of it. That's the fun of a clown, is it not?
which side do you lean? Do they make you laugh or do they scare the shit out of you?
I find it quite amusing. Yeah, there's certain clowns I do find quite amusing. So, when I've been to Vegas, I've been to a few of those Cirque du Soleil shows, and they have the clowns dressed up there, and especially the one that they have in Treasure Island, Mystère, which is usually based around that sort of that original, very French, or it's probably French Canadian story. And there's the clown with the makeup on. I thought that's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. And now I mentioned it, probably should have made my top 5, but it didn't.
So middle of the night, you taking the trash out, and let's say in your driveway, there's a clown standing at the end of your driveway. How do you feel now?
Yeah, I'm going to feel a little bit different. But then again, if there's anybody standing in my driveway when I'm taking the trash out, I'm probably not going to feel too comfortable with them. You know what I mean?
Because I do know a couple years ago, it was big in the United States. I'm not sure if it took place over there, but there were people just dressing up as clowns and roaming major cities.
Yeah, it was a thing over here as well. So like you would have just random clowns turn up with a machete, just trying to scare the shit out of people.
But it would have that effect on me. To be honest, I'm surprised more of those guys didn't end up with a couple extra holes in them.
Yeah, especially
you don't know who you're walking up on to play that practical joke.
No, absolutely not. But interestingly enough, that was one of the reasons why Ronald McDonald was retired. So yeah, he's not used anymore as the figurehead of McDonald's restaurants because of that. 2016, they retired him.
I'll be damned. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I
kind of thought
yeah, I kind of thought the character's probably a little bit old and tired and probably needed a bit of a refresh. Like that was kind of my thinking as why they weren't using him. But no, yeah, it was largely in part down to that.
Well, I figured all the other companies had to quit advertising to children, and maybe McDonald's was held under the same.
See, that would make more sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no more Joe Camel, none of the good stuff. Had to get rid of Ronald too.
Joe Camel, man, I used to smoke Camel back in the day.
Me too. Lights, wides. What were you into?
Well, I was the regular. Sorry, we're talking. So I occasionally have the lights. It's when I haven't smoked for like 20 plus years. So I occasionally have the light blue pack, but no, it's normally the camel colored pack I'd smoke.
Oh boy, them Camel heavies.
Yeah, that's it. Either them or Marlboro Red.
Yeah, if you're doing it, you might as well, right?
That's it. That's it.
All right, who you got? Number 4.
Number 4. I go for a guy called Fizbo. Now, you familiar? Oh, you'll be familiar with the show Modern Family.
Mm,
You ever watch that?
is that the one with Al Bundy and his
The one with
gorgeous
Al Bundy?
wife? Yes.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
one. One-time Pittsburgh Steeler, Al Bundy. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So so one of the characters in there was a guy called Cameron, and he plays the partner of Jay Pritchard's son. And yeah, so he
Very
has this
flamboyant.
alter ego.
That one?
That's the one. Yeah, rather
Right,
flamboyant
yes.
character. And
Yes.
he has an alter ego of Fizbo the Clown. And that is, I think it was voted as one of their most popular episodes when that guy debuted. And I think it's an entertaining idea, mainly because, you know, his partner Mitchell absolutely hates Fizbo the Clown, and the interplay between the two of them I thought was brilliant. But no, Fizbo, I love Fizbo.
Oh, Fizbo. It's
Yeah.
very unfortunate, but he's going to have to go up against John Wayne Gacy as Pogo the Clown. That guy in paint is probably one of the creepiest fucking clowns of all time.
Well, he made my list of honorable mentions, but I didn't feel I could actually put a guy who sort of raped and murdered countless men as a top 5.
Could you imagine if that shit happened with the paint on? How frightening it is to begin with.
Oh, man.
Right now, I got some big, sweaty, greasy clown on top of me, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it.
Can you imagine? coming
No,
to that guy?
No, I couldn't imagine coming, but
no, yeah, no, me neither. But you imagine coming to with that guy bearing down on you, you know, with full clown makeup on.
No.
You might
Yeah,
as well be running
when
with
we
that
talked about John Wayne Gacy, we just figured out that he figured using anal sex as a proposition, especially in the state of Illinois, he came to it a lot sooner than most of the politicians around here. Huge part of politics. And there he was, first in line. That was his go-to. Very unfortunate, but
oh man, I mean you're right. He is a scary dude. And I guess when you think about clowns, and literally when you said clowns, he was the first guy that popped into my head. John Wayne Gacy.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I
how
don't know what that
he's
says
kind
about
of
me.
what. Well, I'm just saying he's kind of created that avenue for himself. I mean,
Well, he has. You know, just despite the fact that, you know, the clowning wasn't a huge part of it, the killer clown, it was just a good moniker, wasn't it? It was a good nickname for the press to get on board with.
and now looking back, obviously how twisted he was, what he probably used that occupation more than likely for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That put him in close proximity to a lot of children.
Yeah, doesn't even bear thinking about that, does it?
No, it's not great.
No. So I'll go for my number 3 then, dude. Let's so it's another American TV show. Did you ever watch Baskets? Zach Galifianakis?
Baskets. No.
Dude.
Was Zach Galifianakis? Yeah, I never watched
it. I can't pronounce his name, so I'll tell you what. That's how it's done. Yeah, so he played a character called Chip Baskets, and he also played his twin brother Dale Baskets, and he was a guy who traveled to France with his dream of being a clown, and it all sort of fell apart, and he ended up having to come back to the States, and then one thing and another, his mum, who was played by Louis Anderson, has played Christine Baskets, which it was literally the best character. Yeah. Louis Anderson played his mum. Honestly, it was that he, whichever way you want to say it, it was the best character in that by far. But yeah, he ended up a rodeo clown at her rodeo. And honestly, yeah, it's quite a unique TV show. It's quite weird in many ways, but well worth a watch if you ain't seen it, dude.
Huge fan of weird television.
Well, this ticks that box.
Baskets. I'm gonna have to look for that one. All right, my 3 has to be the Joker, and I think this guy played it to a T, and that's Heath Ledger. I think that's the Joker was supposed to be dark and dirty. I don't think what was the original guy's name? Romero, the one that was in the Adam West Batman.
That was Burgess. He was Penguin. Wasn't he? Burgess Meredith was Penguin. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you're
something
right.
Romero. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Jack Nicholson, okay, but Heath Ledger, I think. I mean, this guy came out of a insane asylum. He needed that dark, edgy kind of feel, and I think he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, do you know, that's funny enough, that wasn't one that really came to mind. I'm not a huge fan of Batman, if I'm honest. I did love the
Right.
old Adam West series, though, by the way. I used
Mhm.
to, and that's I think that's probably why it never really struck me, that one, because when I watch the superhero stuff, I like the old campy stuff, you know what I mean? That was entertaining. I don't like superheroes to take themselves too seriously.
Right.
Whereas I know with that guy did Heath Ledger when he played it, you're right. He played it very, very serious. But you're right, it's a good shout, that one, dude. It's a good shout. I wish I thought of that one as well.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think he played it the best. Every Joker since then, they've tried to basically rip that off, and they fell short. I mean, they're not even close to putting up the performance that guy did.
Yeah, it's true. I think the thing when Jack Nicholson did it, I don't know if he necessarily got the role itself though, because he literally just played
Like a
any of his
gangster
mate.
is.
Yeah, he played it as a gangster. Had a little bit of the guy from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Was it McGurty? I can't remember his name in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played it a little bit like that. Played that as the Mad, and it was kind of his go-to thing. So yeah, I think Heath Ledger probably did do it better.
All right, who you got? Number 2.
Well, number 2, I thought you have to go old school. So I put this guy in. I'm a huge fan of this guy, not necessarily so, but I put in Marcel Marceau, you know. So he played, I think it was Blip the Clown was his main character, although he did do a few others. But for me, and it's overlooked a little bit, you know, there's all sorts of different types of clown. And you sometimes forget that mime artists is also part of clowning. And I think that's a skill. You know, whenever you go down to London and you see the street performers doing that kind of stuff, it never fails to blow me away. You know, I think it's fantastic to watch. It is, you know, I understand like why people don't like clowns for likes of Pennywise or what have you, but for
Right.
guys like this, it's a genuine art form.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a mime live in concert.
Ah, yeah, dude. Yeah, I wouldn't say I've seen them live in concert, so I've never seen anybody doing it professionally. But whenever you see the street artists performing, I think it's phenomenal. And you know, I've watched a few videos of Marcel Marceau, and
Mhm.
I find it, you know, and a lot of the old sort of black and white stuff, the likes of Laurel and Hardy, you know what I mean, and the faces that they pulled. There was a little bit of clowning in the way that they performed. Same with Charlie Chaplin; he was a clown in many ways.
Yeah, he was great, to be honest.
Yeah.
That movie about him, that movie gets me every time I watch it. Love that movie.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
My
complex characters.
Yeah, he was great, especially for the time period, and to be famous like that without ever saying anything, imagine how hard that would be.
That's a skill. It's definitely a skill.
All right, so from famous mime to famous circus clown, I'm going Emmett Kelly,
Emmett
Weary
Kelly.
Willie, the hobo clown. So a lot of people, if you just search clown on Google,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, this guy's face is in the top 5 pictures. He looks like he's had a rough day, possibly Catholic, unshaved, looked like he had a good drunk on the night before. And he played that character for 40 years in Barnum and Bailey's Circus. So my hat's off to
Yeah.
him. Just any character, to play any character like that for that amount of time, you're on the
Yeah.
list.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So like tramp clown, that is like one of the
Correct.
there's like I think
That
there's
was him.
8 different there's 8 different types of clown in there. And tramp clown is like one of the things. And I think he was one of the guys who was at the forefront of that, wasn't he? Of making it famous and making it a separate category in itself.
Yep. Like I said, most of his paint's kind of wiped off. Looks like he hasn't shaved in a while. He looks like one of us if we were to put the makeup on.
It's he might just look like me tomorrow morning anyway, makeup or not. Do you want my number one?
Let's hear it. Who you got? Don't
For
snake
me,
him. Don't snake him. Where are you going?
can only be one for me. That's Herschel Schmerkel Jurgen Kristofsky from The
Are you
Simpsons.
serious? Oh god,
Krusty the
all right.
Clown, yeah, man.
Krusty the Clown, I love it. Okay. Oof.
Yeah,
I thought you were stealing mine for a second.
Oh, no, dude. So, yeah, Krusty the Clown. Literally, when you think of, like, The Simpsons, they've been accurate in some of the stuff that they predicted and everything like that, but just having that really sort of dark, sinister character who's really unpleasant and then sticks on that mask, stubs his cigarette out just as it's time to go. Krusty the Clown, man, yeah, I love Krusty the Clown.
To be honest, The Simpsons might be the greatest television show of all time.
I think, yeah, I think there's a massive argument for that. I really do. I really do. And like I say, you know, with Krusty Burgers and everything like that, they certainly ripped off a little bit of Ronald McDonald's with that, and you know, gave a cheeky wink to it with that. But having him as on there and having the kids sort of look up to this sort of rather vile individual, I love that idea.
Yeah, I think they made that cool long before it was popular to do. How
Mm,
many vile individuals do we celebrate nowadays?
quite a
Quite a
few.
few.
Quite a few.
All right, my one, and I'd really for a second because you mentioned it, I don't know, maybe 2-3 minutes ago, and that is The English Gentleman. I started with An English Gentleman. I'm leaving with An English Gentleman, and that is Tim Curry. I think he played the greatest clown character of all time, and that's Pennywise.
Yeah, it's interestingly enough, is another one. So I like to say I noted down a couple of honorable mentions. Now I've seen that one. I've not seen the reboot of it with that other clown because
No,
I, I just
unnecessary.
just no need for it. Yeah, I don't see what was wrong with Tim Curry's performance that people felt that you could just stick a little bit of extra scary teeth on this dude and make it look a little bit scarier. The uncomfortable part of it was Tim Curry. He made that character really, really deeply unpleasant because he was sinister, but at the same time had that sort of welcoming side to him. But you knew he had that really dark nature behind. And that for me is far scarier than the idea of some dude with sharp, scary teeth.
So when he first showed up on set, they had these prosthetics made up, and he told the director, if you need someone to hire, or if you need to hire somebody to wear that shit, you should find a different actor. The guy didn't know what he meant by it, and he goes, if that's what we're selling is just the look of the clown, grab the cameraman, grab that guy over there. He's like, anybody could do it.
That's
He
it.
said,
And that,
let me be me. And that was, I don't think he ever wore. There might be one spot in that movie where he puts on a prosthetic where like part of his face melted or something, but other than that, it was just him.
see, that's it. And that's where those true scary performers are. I don't want to go back to all sort of film remakes, but it's like I know he had a lot of prosthetics on, but the likes of Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, the thing was about that. It wasn't the prosthetics. It wasn't the knife fingers he had. It was Robert Englund himself that made that guy creepy as all hell. And Tim Curry did exactly the same thing with Pennywise. I think they missed a big trick there when they remade that one.
It's really disappointing. Not like there's been very few remakes ever that you come back and you watch it and you're like, oh God, that was way better than the first. To be honest, I'm not sure it's ever happened.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm with you on that.
that one, it's bad. That guy's not great. Bill Skarsgård or whatever, awful. I hate to say it, but and
Yeah,
it's
I've not
all
watched
it's
it.
all CGI. You know what I mean? So it's unrealistic. Just looking at Tim Curry in that clown paint. When I was a kid, I thought he could kill me right then and there.
That's it. Yeah, that's
I
it.
hated
But
clowns for the longest time.
I genuinely believe when people talk about hating clowns and that fear of clowns, it comes from Tim Curry, not from other clowns, not from the other even the peculiar clowns who do weird stuff and what
Right.
have you, and dress and paint themselves in awkward ways. But that Tim Curry performance, I genuinely believe, is why people hate clowns.
There's serious fear. I mean, just that guy, like in my mind, if someone were to tell me to envision a clown, I see that yellow suit, that big red hair, and that's all I can think of.
Yeah, amen, amen.
So obviously something that stood the test of time.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And phenomenal actor. I don't feel like he gets nearly the credit he should.
No, but I think some of that goes down to, I don't know, he gets a little bit, I guess he's typecast himself as well a little bit in terms of the roles some of the roles he's picked. So when you
Well,
go back
could
to,
you pull off a transvestite? I'm not sure I could. He played it great. You know what
well,
I
I
mean?
was
It's
going
a
to
cult
say,
classic.
it is a cult classic, and that's probably what he's most famous for. So when you mention Tim Curry, if you ain't picturing Pennywise, you're picturing him in his stockings. And gee whiz, don't ever try and do that for me because that's an
We
unpleasant
could find
image.
a pair big enough, I promise.
Yeah, they probably could, but still, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I could pull it off, dude, and I'm not sure I'd want to.
But whether I'm not sure he typecast himself. I think a lot of times, so you have an English actor,
Yeah,
and unfortunately, I feel like they kind of get pigeonholed sometimes. They're either the
yeah,
butler or the bad guy. You know what I mean? You have two choices for this man.
yeah. It's true. It's true. It's true.
And if you
But
look
yeah,
back at a
that,
lot of his movies, I mean, shit, there's a couple movies where he was the butler. In almost every movie, he was the bad guy.
but also if you look back at the English, so historically, we generally were the bad guys, so we can play that part quite well.
Oh, we're not shitting on the English today. The Welsh, maybe,
Whoa,
being they
whoa, whoa,
lost.
whoa,
Being they
whoa! Steady
lost.
on. Yeah, well, I'm not a rugby fan, as you know, but yeah, I gather that I've seen some of the results coming through. And they've not done well.
Well, they said last week they were going to go on strike, and they should have. I'm not sure if that affected their game plan today, but it certainly looked like it did.
I've seen some of the scores. I think they might as well have been on strike.
To be honest, I think most of the people probably feel the same way. Just might as well sit. It'd be less embarrassing.
It still blows my mind, dude, that you've got yourself there. And I don't know. I don't know. Do you speak to a lot of the rugby fans over there?
Um, there's not a lot. I'll
No.
tell you that there's not a lot. I have one Irish guy I work with from time to time, which he pays attention to like the international team just because over there it's kind of the same deal. Like club wise, they don't necessarily pay attention, but when the Six Nations or the World Cup comes around, everybody's a fan of where they're from, you know. But
Yeah.
rugby fans over here are very few and far between.
That's interesting. My uncle played a little bit. So he played not at a professional level, but he used to play at a fairly decent amateur level as well. But he had to give it up because he broke his ankle quite badly. Literally, he got his foot caught in the turf, and someone fell on the back of his leg, and his foot
Just
was
snapped
pointing
it.
backwards. Yeah, his
Oof.
foot ended up pointing 180 degrees the wrong way.
So I've considered recently because there's a couple places, fairly local that play. I wouldn't even call it definitely amateur rugby, I guess. And I've considered it, but it's like, what, fuck, if that happens, if I break my leg some Saturday in somewhere in Indiana, my ass has to go to work on Monday. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
not sure it's
yeah.
worth it.
No, this is it. And there's another guy, a mate of my younger brothers. He plays as well, and this guy is an absolute tank, and he shares some of the stuff that goes on in that scrums. Dude, I'm not sure you want to be a part of that. Having your bollocks grabbed and punched in the jaw all the time.
Yeah. If I want my balls grabbed, I'd just stay at home.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You got to
Try to give the
consider
old
who's
lady a
doing
couple beers. Yeah.
it. Exactly. That for me is a Saturday afternoon, not getting punched in the bollocks by some rowdy Welsh lad.
I guess it depends on how many beers I've had, but so Tall Boy Radio.
Yeah.
Moving forward. Any big goals in mind now for the podcast that's in the top 10%?
I know that's
That's
I don't
crazy,
even
isn't
know.
it?
Yeah, it is crazy. It is. What what I think that I literally started it on a little bit of a win. I bought a £35 microphone that I plugged into my phone to record that first episode with, and then obviously I got bored of doing this piece of stuff, and we got Gaz and Andy on board. And yeah, we sort of seen the figures rise and rise and rise, and it's always nice that people listen to us. We'd do it even if people didn't listen to us. We just enjoy sitting down and having a chat about stuff. So yeah, and funnily enough, me and Gaz were out on, I think it was one day in the week, might have been Thursday. I can't remember what day it was. And we went out, we had a few beers, and we had a production meeting, just trying to get a head around what we want to do next, where we want to take it next. And then, to be honest with you, it was largely pointless because we ended up getting absolutely smashed And yeah, he was trying to text his wife on the way home, trying to tell him not to shout at you. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. But he literally had to sit down for a while because he couldn't summon up the finger dexterity to text the word "don't." God bless him. But now we come up with a few things. So we're gonna have another go at another Guinness World Record this year. We've been talking about this for a while, and we're finally getting the plans and put that in place because we've done a couple of Guinness World Records. So you can see them up if you're here behind me. So the last one we did was the most doubles hit at darts in 24-hour period. We also set the Guinness World Record for the longest game of darts ever played, which has unfortunately been beaten since. But we're going to have a go at doing trebles because we went and we did an away day broadcast up in Scotland for the Disability Darts World Cup. We had a couple of friends of ours had a gin company and they were sponsoring it, and they asked us to come along and do a podcast from there. And we turned up, and literally we were the only press there. And I'm using press in inverted commas because it was me and Gaz who were out drinking till 3 o'clock the previous morning. We didn't take it hugely seriously.
Press. You guys were the press, though.
That's it. And they treated us really, really respectfully. So they gave us our own room, and they had this setup behind us where you had all this darting memorabilia, and we're like, oh, dude, we need to get our act together now. We need to really do something here because they're showing us a respect. And these are all the disabled players from around the different parts of the globe coming to play against each other. It was a genuine World Cup of darts. So yeah, we turned up, and first of all, we were shocked that we were the only press there. When you think about sort of disability in sports, and that's one of the things they talked about. It got forgotten. And the guy who we were talking to, this guy called Snowy Dyson, he started off as an able-bodied player, lost a leg. He'd served in the army in Northern Ireland, ended up losing a leg, I think, because of what happened to him over there, ended up losing his second leg. And he sort of challenged us to think about it and sort of said, so how many disabled players are there in your league? It's like, well, there's none. We play Super League as well. It's how many disabled players are in the Super League? Well, there aren't any. And he says, and are there no disabled people around where you live? It's like, no, there's plenty. He said, how many of those want to play darts? And I put off because they don't have the facilities there to do it. Like, shit, yeah, I never really thought of it that way. So we've started the work's been done. Some of the work's been done already, but we've got a pretty large club which holds a few darts venues here, and we're going to start doing sort of disabled darts games there. They've already started to do a few, but they can't really do it for wheelchair players and what have you. So we're going to raise the funds by doing the Guinness World Record to pay to have this place converted. So that's the next big thing on our agenda.
So, like, what kind of accommodations, I guess, would be necessary? What did you see in Scotland? Like, what accommodations did they make for?
The biggest thing, there was a guy there by the name of Jed McPhee, God bless him, and a really nice guy and a carpenter by trade. And he designed this thing for it's literally the dartboard is on runners, so it can move up and down. He originally designed it so he could play against his kid when he was younger. And then all of a sudden he shared a video on Twitter of himself playing a game against his kid. And it was one he'd filmed like 10 years ago. And Disabled Darts got in touch with him and said, you know what, my kids, if you have that set to the right level, because there's two heights you have it at. There's the lower level for either children or for people in a wheelchair, and then the regular standard height. And literally it just slides between the two. So it meant that instead of having a guy sort of throwing up, which is against his, his natural throw, because he's throwing at that level, he's having to, so he can't really compete. So he's come up with this thing to do that. And they were trialing it. This is the first place they trialed it. And we got to interview that guy as well. God bless him. Really amenable fellow. So that will make a big difference. And he's agreed to come down and put a couple of those in there. And obviously we're going to have to pay for his accommodation or whatever, because he's coming all the way from northern Scotland.
So what else, I guess, this club you guys are investing in, what other things would they need to be able to provide?
Well, the big one is obviously access, so it has wheelchair access, but it didn't have a disabled toilet and what have you. So we've got that in place now.
ADA compliant. That's what we call it here. ADA compliant.
Yeah, so that'd be it. And the interesting thing, actually, Gazzy's dad is, I don't know if he still does it, but he was the chairman of the place for a while. Still has a lot to do with it. So yeah, we got him on board, and this place has been really good to us. So the place that we're doing it is the place that we've done both our Guinness World Records at before. So yeah, we want to give them a little something back this time as well. So
is this more or less just like an open venue? This place like a hall, like a meeting hall kind of deal. I guess that's what I'm kind of envisioning.
Well, we have something over here called working men's clubs. So it's it. So basically, you pay a membership fee, and then your beer's a little bit cheaper for the rest of the year. And they do all sorts of sports and social stuff. So dominoes, darts, obviously. So I used to play darts for them, and and they do all that kinds of stuff. And we played in a few competitions there.
We have similar things around here, men's leagues, but it'll be something sport specific. So say it's a billiards league or dart league, or so if you're buying in, what you're it's it has a specific lane, shuffleboard or bowling, whatever it is. But
that's it. And it's a similar sort of thing here. So they've got like full-size snooker tables, they've got pool tables as well. So they do a few leagues like that. And they do ballroom dancing and things there. And then obviously they got like a stage and what have you for, getting people to perform on. So they have like various artists perform there as well. So I mean, all Sage where we're at, it's not the biggest place, but it is a fairly decent sized venue in it. And like I said, we wanted to say thank you for all the stuff, all the support, because they've never charged us for using the place. Like the longest game of darts that we did, we were there for over 50 hours, hogging the dartboard. Gave us free food, free Red Bull, and everything like that. So you can't really knock them. We want to give them a little bit of something back to say thank you.
So what is your new Guinness record that you're attempting?
Well, it's going to be the most amount of trebles hit in 24 hours. So
how many doubles? How many doubles did you guys hit in 24 hours?
5,000, just short of 5,600.
As tall as you are, you're a big double 20 guy, I take it.
Yeah, well, I double 10, but I do double 20, double 10. Interesting enough, though, the best part of that was we had a guy who sponsored us £1 for every one that we hit, and he paid up within minutes of us doing it. Paid up £5,600 to say, "Well done, boys."
Damn. Yeah, because I guess we had discussed this. It's actually pretty pricey to be on the Guinness World Record.
Oh yeah, if you want somebody to come down, they'll charge you something like £900. Then they want free accommodation, they want free food, and then everything paid for while you're there. So it's not worthwhile doing it that way. So you can get all the documentation yourself and just make sure you film it all yourself. And you got to film the full 24 hours that we're going to be doing it. Yeah. So I remember saying to Mike and Tabby when they were looking at doing this with the Happy Hour podcast, and they were going to do when they did do their 40-hour podcast that they did, and it's like, get it registered first, because whatever you do afterwards, unless you register interest first, Guinness won't even look at it.
Right.
Which is crazy, really, when you think about it. The Guinness Book of Records came about to be to settle an argument in a pub about, who's the tallest guy that ever lived, who's the world's shittest dog or whatever.
That's the greatest idea ever. You're paying them, basically.
And this is it. So now, literally, they become the go-to acts, and literally, you have to live by their rules, which is, I think, it's a bit like, are you missing the point a little bit? But I guess it's kind of specific. But you can. Let's not lie. It's like I don't know. They're just trying to make sure you don't just say, "Yeah, I definitely did it." You know what I mean? When you haven't, that's what they want to rule out.
Yeah, they definitely bring some legitimacy, and.
When we did the last one, obviously, so we did the last one that we did was literally right at the start of the pandemic. I think Britain got locked down the following week, and to get that done, so we weren't allowed to contact people, and then you got to get all this paperwork signed off. So I think it took us probably about 2 years to get that certificate up on the wall. But
after the fact.
Though, yeah. And then we got all the money in. God bless them, all the people who sponsored us. We raised around about, I think it was just shy of about £20,000 for Great Ormond Street Hospital. So yeah, it was we were pretty pleased with that one.
So I guess, are you guys going to try to contact whatever world organization that was that you guys went to in Scotland to see if maybe you can get them in on it a little bit?
Yeah. We're going to be doing an episode coming up soon. We've not confirmed the date yet, but one of the guys who plays for England, and he has a prosthetic arm, he's going to be coming on and doing a episode of the podcast with us, talking about that kind of stuff. And yeah, we're gonna invite those guys down to hopefully come and play, because like when we say like this is the World Cup, there was people there from Holland and France and Ireland and all sorts that they're all competing against each other. And it was a fantastic sort of spectacle of darts, but it was just like, when you think of a World Cup, obviously we've just seen the World Cup of football, and it was a real big deal. And these guys are sort of crying out for the attention for their sport. And, I'm not saying that the Tallboy Radio podcast is ever going to give them that, but anything that we can do, hopefully it leads to something else for them. I don't know.
Yeah, every little bit counts.
That's it. I just feel, I said to Gaz after that, if we've gone up there, we've heard their story, and that, they've made that sort of comment to us. We're pretty shitty people if we go and then come back here and just go about our business. We know the difference that we could make potentially just by doing this one thing and getting this one extra venue locally for disabled people to play darts. We'd be pretty shitty people if we didn't do that.
Yeah, just any local news outlet, it's shitty that they didn't even stop by, especially in the place it's being held.
Well, this is it. So literally the biggest media group in the UK would be probably, outside of the British Broadcasting Corporation, would be Sky, satellite TV. They are absolutely huge, and they're based around about 5 miles down the road from where this event was being held. They sent a guy with a camera and a guy with a microphone, and they were there for 5 minutes, took one look around and fucked off.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking, isn't it? It's pretty shocking.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I think we learned a lot from that. I think we really learned a lot from that about probably you realize how fortunate you are. And I think one of the things we said to, that the Gaz and I sort of said, so we stayed in a hotel nearby. A lot of the teams were staying in there. We were down having breakfast with them on the days that we were there, when Gaz didn't get himself lost on a train, but that's another story. And it was just lovely to see the camaraderie, because you had a group of people who probably at points felt like they were the odd one out in any situation, and all of a sudden they all got together and there was no odd one out. You know what I mean? It was, it was lovely to see and to be a part of for those 2 days.
You know what's wild is, you said just being there, you were kind of humbled. You felt privileged, just to live your life the way you live it. The crazy thing is, most disabled people feel the exact same way. They're happy to just have what they have, and it's like, that's a crazy outlook. I'm not sure I would be that way myself.
No, and I think you do. You look at it from your own perspective. We're looking at, really, if I were to be in that situation, then what I know now, I would be looking at what I've lost to be there. Whereas they're looking at what they get out of life and are seeing it as a bonus. And yeah, we found it really heartwarming.
Oh, it should be this. I mean, like you said, in your mind, all you think about is the struggles.
Yeah.
But to them, it's everything they do is rewarding. It's like, I have the opportunity to do this today. Like that gentleman that lost his leg. He's just happy he didn't lose the rest of himself. He could care less about that leg.
No, we watched him play, and I tell you what, it'd have whooped our asses. He was a lot better at darts than we were.
You're gonna have to get him in on this triples thing. Shit.
Yeah, well, we should. We just need to get the board done first, though. So you know what I mean. This is the thing. I mean, we felt pretty shitty that we'd not even thought about it. It never even entered into our heads that we don't. Nobody does it. Nobody stands around and takes stock often enough, I don't think, in their life to look at the people around them and think, actually, do you know what? Could we do more? Could we be better people?
Oh, I know I could.
Oh yeah. You
could definitely. I think a lot of times, though, it takes going out and seeing something like you've seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it touched you, it moved you in a different way, and in a field of something you already have an interest in.
Yeah, it did a lot more than we were ever expecting it to. So yeah, that's the main thing that we want to do next, obviously on Tallboy Radio. And then we also wanted, and actually going off of the back of that as well, that was really the one time that we've done an outside broadcast. So it challenged us in a couple of ways, really. We had to figure out a way to do that. We had to, don't tell the wife how much I spent, but I had to buy a whole load of new equipment so that we could record it and try and get it working in a way that was working for us. So that's the other thing that we're looking at doing as well. We're trying to get together a couple of dates, and we're going to try and do like Tallboy Radio does Ghostbusters. Go do a paranormal investigation somewhere. It's just trying to find somewhere that'll let a bunch of idiots on the loose in their hotel or what have you.
Yeah, no, we talked about that, especially over there. I mean, as a state, a country, a county, the history. I mean, you have hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Of people living there, you know what I mean? And plenty of different things have taken place, wars and battles, and God, I feel like you could just walk down your street and find 2 or 3 different places that you could find something.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, where we are here. Obviously, not literally my street. My street's been here 5 years. I live on a new estate, but yeah, you go a little a little further afield from here. You only have to walk 10 minutes away, and you've got buildings. So my cousin Bo, he came over from Texas, well, about this time last year, and he couldn't get his head around like that some of the places in my hometown are older than your country as you know it now.
Oh, easy. I mean,
Yeah.
Brad has a cemetery near his house that's about 200 or so years old. I mean, it's early 1800s, I'd say. And I've like, I can't tell you how many times I've asked that guy. Nothing disrespectful, but let's take a couple microphones, have a couple beers, just sit down in that place and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants no part of it.
Is he a superstitious guy?
Me or is he?
No, is he a big believer?
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
See, now I'm superstitious, but like ghosts, I mean, ever since my father passed away, I just want to know. You know what I mean? I want to know if it's even possible. I'm not sure it is.
No.
So I'd like to kind of search out that interaction. You know what I mean? Like it's just because no one knows what happens at the end, right?
No,
we all think we do, or we have an idea. We're preparing for it. I'd like to check it out, and just see. I don't know. Some of these people you see on these ghost shows, I'm like, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
So I'd like to put myself in that place and see. I don't know.
I think that, and this is the interesting thing about the paranormal. That's why it's a belief. You know what I mean? Because there are no hard facts out there. There's no categorical way of saying that this is definitely going to happen to you after you die. This is definitely, that person definitely did say ghosts are real. You don't know. It's a leap of faith. And that's what interests me most about it. If it's all bullshit, I'm okay with that. Because I just want to understand the psychology behind it that brought you to conclude that what you're seeing in front of you is the spectral apparition of some guy who existed 400 years ago. And if so, will that be me 400 years from now? I just want to get my head around the psychology of it all. And like nearby, we've got a place called the Old Hall in Sandbach, and Sandbach itself has probably, I think it's been there since sort of maybe 1200s. It's a really, really old town. It's one of the oldest towns locally. And there are tunnels that run underneath the town, and it runs to the Old Hall from the church over the road, and there was a monastery as well. And obviously, the church was persecuted, which is why they genuinely did have these escape tunnels. It isn't just one of these bullshit stories. It is a true thing. And the Old Hall in Sandbach is allegedly, if you believe that kind of stuff, one of the most haunted places in Britain. And we want to go there, rent out room 11 for the night, and just rock up and just see what happens. Yeah, we'll be respectful. We're not going to trash the place,
Right.
It's not going to be like that scene in Ghostbusters where they first cast Slimer, you know what I mean? We're going to look after the place, with 3 50-year-old dudes. You just want to sit around, drink a few beers, and see if anything goes bump in the night.
Right. And that's kind of that's the part I took about like I said, for sure, if there is something there, obviously I don't want to be disrespectful.
No.
Because if there is something there where they can make some sort of contact, I would imagine any sort of disrespectful action would bring out, the best of their capabilities.
Exactly. What do you believe then, dude? Do you have a specified belief? Is there any way you believe that it's a spirit, it's some kind of electrical energy, or it's just
I think it's
somebody
mostly bullshit. I'm not we kind of talked about this the other day about spirits and stuff, and I'm not sure how I feel. I think your heaven or hell, me myself, is right here, right now. It's your life, it's what you make of it. There's plenty of people out there living in heaven right now because they've set their life up to be that way. Also, plenty of people have created their own hell right here on earth. And as far as like my spirit going somewhere, like as a spectral, I'm not sure I buy into that. Mine's more of a personal belief of you do you do the best you can to the best of your abilities to your fellow man, teach your children to be decent people. And that's kind of, that's how I see my spirit moving on. And Brad was like, "Well, your legacy, not necessarily a legacy, but you know, doing the right thing, teaching your children to do the right thing, that makes the world a better place," kind of deal. I don't necessarily believe that my soul is a spectral being just floating around somewhere for the rest of eternity. That doesn't sound realistic.
No, I'm not sure I'd want it either.
Worm food. I think my body basically turns into worm food when I'm done, and hopefully by then I had a good run.
I think that's the best. Anybody, I do think a lot of the way the sort of Christian life set up about being. Yeah, I get why they came up with the concept, and it probably worked. 1,000 years ago. God bless them, but I don't think it works anymore. I don't think it works, as it should. And if you're hoping to be reborn, or you're hoping to head off to heaven afterwards and live it up over there, then you're probably missing the point a little bit about making the most of your time down here on this planet and seeing what happens, just in case this
Right,
is it.
because you're
That's what
so
you get.
worried. I mean, unfortunately, from time to time, living your life the way you want to live it, are you going to shit on some other people? Of course you are. I mean, that's just a part of it. But as
Yeah.
long as you recognize that and do better moving forward, it's like shit. I would, and most people are like, it's easier to just believe just in case. Well, maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I guess when we all get close to the grave, we might choose to edge our bets a little.
Yeah, they no atheists in foxholes. That's the old saying. So, but unfortunately, and not saying that I'm atheist. I think that story, the way it's been told to us, and the beliefs you should have, unfortunately, I don't trust man enough to have passed that down for so many years without tweaking it, to his liking.
Well, this is the thing, we've had a vicar on Tall Boy Radio, God bless him, and he's a very interesting character. I've known him since school, funnily enough, and we had him on, and I held back in saying what I said out of respect for the guy, respect for religion, because it just seems to me the church is largely a way of separating people from the money. It's like one of these great corporations, the likes of the Ronald McDonald's that we started off talking about earlier. They find a way of separating people from the money. And
They're the
that's
longest running corporation.
oh, hey, man, yeah, and they've got it down pat, you know what I mean? You give me your money or you could go to hell. They've got it absolutely nailed on. I'm not saying that religion itself is a bad thing, because I don't think it is. I just think the church, when it gets involved, I'm not a huge fan of it.
That's just like it's no different than the government. I mean, I don't know. We talked about healthcare a little bit, and I bring this up when I had my first son, I was 20 years old. Okay. I worked a shit job for shit money, but had really decent health care because I showed up and went to work every day.
Mhm.
And the company I had, I could afford it. As soon as the government got in there, got their hands in it, started making money, shit all went downhill. So I went for a couple of years where I couldn't afford insurance, or I could quit my job and get insurance basically just given to me. Neither one was a great option. And I think over time, religion as a belief, as a thought, as an idea, just like you said, no issues with it. It's once the church, once those churches got as powerful as they did, as they have, as they are now it's an issue. because I think they start to, oh man, they infect like just the ideas. The ideas. My biggest argument with religion is always that from one sect to the next, your story sounds very similar. To be honest, I don't know what the hell you've been fighting for all these years for. Change a couple names, change a couple places. The story is damn near identical. Yet you're willing to fight tooth and nail this person right next to you just because they don't have the same belief as you.
Exactly. It's utterly bizarre. And we know about the Christian faith, over here. They're like that Jesus was born on the 25th of December. Well, he wasn't. You know what I mean? That was a pagan ceremony on the 25th of December, and they thought, no, you're not going to be supporting your multiple gods or whatever. You'll come worship our God, and it was just, it was a publicity stunt. That's when he was born.
Which the
we'll
25th
take your
of 25th of December has turned out to be a hell of a financial holiday.
Yeah, it has.
I'm still recovering. It's the end of February, and I'm still recovering from JC's birthday.
Every year, and especially when you got kids. I don't know about you. You might have been 20 when you had your first. I was 44 when I had my first kid. So we're going to come from a different perspective. But gee whiz, costly.
I tell you what, Christmas comes around. You try to get these little guys whatever they want, or girls, and 2 months later, them bastards could care less about what you bought them. If you would have kept the box it came in would have stayed longer than whatever the toy was. They don't even know where it is. Half of it's broken. Can't find the pieces.
No, we find this every year. I mean, it gets to the point, no, we're not going to do it this year. We're not going to do it this year. And then about 2 weeks before Christmas, we've not got enough. You know what I mean? So we rush out and get a load of stuff that they just could not give two shits about. Literally, I remember Christmas morning, my little lad, my brother had bought him a light in the shape of a dinosaur. That was all he was interested in. You know what I mean? Anything else that we got him, that wasn't the main present from my brother. It was just a dinosaur shape. Like, he didn't know he's alive. He's just like whacking. Yeah. It's like whacking his sister over the head with it.
Yeah, I'm a big. I hate being wasteful, and there's times. There's been times like when my kids were younger. It's like we're cleaning out their toy box just to buy them more toys, which drives me crazy. The concept of it. Growing up, we didn't have a ton, you know what I mean? So it's like you were just happy for what you had. And here we are loading up a garbage bag full of toys just to replace them 2 weeks down the road.
I think we've created that situation for ourselves, though. I know the last time we spoke about when you guys came on, we talked about doing a podcast about woke people.
Yes.
Didn't we?
Yes.
And I kind of think this is like that. We've almost created that situation for ourselves when we want the best for our kids, and we'll break our balls to make sure that we're giving them, everything that we never had as a
right. And just like
child.
You said, you told your wife a week or two beforehand, you almost feel like you've let your children down. Don't have enough.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And social media plays its part in that when people sharing their pictures, and I fucking hate it when they do it.
Oh, yeah.
All the presents they got stacked up on Christmas morning. It's not a point.
Right.
Again, it's a huge conglomerate, Jack Daniels. You know what I mean? But they make a really, really great point. It ain't what's under the tree, it's the people who's around it. And that's what you need to hold true in your heart on Christmas. But I do believe we've created these woke folk for ourselves by the way we've gone about sort of making our kids a little bit softer and sort of saying that everything's okay. And it's okay to believe what they believe. And they've taken it on to the nth degree.
Then we haven't stopped it, unfortunately.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. I know if it was my generation coming out, I'd have got a good clap around the back of my head from my mum.
Oh, if you never really questioned, I mean, when you were a kid, half the time you didn't even know to question. You know what I mean? You were just happy with what you got, and fuck's the best thing ever. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be honest with you. We were talking earlier. I was working earlier today. We were talking about, I'm taking my kids abroad for the first time in a week or so, and I never went abroad till I was 16. And that wasn't, I took myself. I didn't. My parents didn't send me on the way. That it was something that we never did, and I don't feel I necessarily missed out But at the same time, I feel like if I don't do this, I'm failing my kids if I'm not letting them experience. I'm gonna say another culture. I'm taking them to Disneyland Paris, so it's not exactly another culture, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, and
Mm.
it definitely is a rewarding feeling, right? Just
Yeah.
like you said, you would like to give more to your children than what you had, and you hope like that you hope they get the concept of it, not the what this costs or whatever, it's like just you're hoping you're instilling something in them. And with one of my children, I feel like that's been the reverse. The older he's getting, it's not a more is more is more, but I think it's taking him longer to realize, oh shit, the amount of work it took to get to this point, to do the things we do, to, you know, provide for the house. You know what I mean? He just recently started working. He had to work a extra shift or something. I'm like, welcome. This is what the rest of your life's going to be like now. You realize
That's it.
that, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And this is it. I probably, I mean, my kids are 6 and 3, so you know what I mean. It's a little bit different, but I don't, probably too young to understand gratitude and being grateful for all the stuff that they're given. But it's like I say, I never felt as a kid like I missed out on anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I didn't come from an impoverished background, not by a long stretch. But I, I don't feel like I missed out, and yet I feel compelled to do stuff for my kids that I never got to do myself, that I got to do later in life. And I'm not sure where that comes from.
it feels good. I mean, like I said, it's you feel accomplished as a parent sometimes
Yeah, yeah,
to be able to
yeah.
create a situation where you can do things with your children that you were never given the opportunity or so like I think that's a big part of it. That's one of those there's times having children that you do things where it's really rewarding. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of shitty stuff you go through being a parent. I mean, let's be honest.
Oh
So
yeah,
the times something you get to do something where you're like, man, you almost want to like pat yourself on the back. That feels good because you're gonna go back to work the next day. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
sometimes you need those little things along the way to maybe this thing isn't so bad.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I guess we're taking a bit of a turn on this one, aren't we?
Yeah,
I mean,
I figured once you got that porter open, I knew shit was gonna go left and right. I seen that wine bottle tipping.
I tell you, this is a great beer. So, and we've been a little bit spoiled. So they only do this at Christmas. So I'm down to the last few bottles of these where you can pick them up, and it's a porter, a plum porter beer, but it's got port in it as well, so it's a little bit stronger. And I tell you what, it's a great beer, yeah. And
What
it's
kind
it's
of
made by
what kind of percentage we working with over there?
well,
What's that?
it's 6.5, so it ain't the
Mhm.
strongest beer that we drink on
Right.
Tall Boy Radio, but it's I think 6.5 is a good enough strength.
I had a couple IPAs yesterday. They were like 4%. The IPAs I had been drinking 11, 12. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was weird. It still had the flavor, did not have the kick.
No, like, so you've got like your tippers or your imperial IPAs when they get over 10%, and those for me are the absolute gems of beers. The sort of 4%ers are like session IPAs, and I don't drink those too often because although they've got, like I say, it's got the taste, it
Mhm.
doesn't have the kick.
Yeah, I'm telling you, those Voodoo Rangers. I hope they take off one day because they got this new one called Juice Force. You'd be a huge fan of it. It's delicious.
So we've just got the basic Voodoo Ranger. That's the only one I've come across over here. So they sell them in the local Waitrose, and they sell them in an American style restaurant called Hickory's that we have near us. So me and Andy have had a few of those because we do like that restaurant.
They're not bad, the
Mm.
plain Jane ones, but they have a lot of seasonal ones they make that are delicious. I mean, and they're all different. They're not just repackaged basically as the same thing because there's a lot of people that do that shit, and I'm not a fan. Sam Adams, and a
Well,
lot of their stuff I think tastes the same.
I'm hopefully getting over to Texas in July, August of this year, all things being well, as long as you guys change your your rules on travel there. So I'm hoping to get over there, and I'm definitely going to be bringing home a suitcase full of beer and whiskey when I leave.
Hopefully you can fit it in the luggage compartment. How is it flying overseas? Is it comfortable?
What for me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like paying for the extra space because it's expensive. But yeah, it's not a lot of fun when you're my height fitting on a plane.
Well, I just figured with those international planes that maybe you'd have a little more space to begin with.
No,
they're huge. They're huge compared to just
they're big, but you know they still want to squeeze the people on to maximize the profit that they make out of it. So yeah, I don't get. I generally, if we get in there soon enough, and I've not booked the plane tickets yet, but if I get in there soon enough, I try and get it in the aisle where you've got the safety exit nearby, so you get a little bit of extra inches in there. But yeah, it's not a lot of fun having your knees wedged in front of the seat behind, and it's going to be it's going to be like, I think it's like a 9-hour flight. So it's, I'm not, the idea of my kids on a 9-hour flight, if it doesn't terrify me, it should terrify everybody else on that plane.
And you're flying direct.
That's that's the plan.
London to Dallas.
Yeah, Manchester. Yeah, so Manchester. Yeah, Manchester's near us.
And that's obviously an international airport. Big boy.
Yeah. So we've flown from there before. So we've flown direct to Vegas before, and that's a 10.5-hour flight.
That's not bad, man. That's not bad at all.
No, it's not too bad. Like, so we've done the indirect a couple of times, and so I think we fly to New York, and that's like 6 hours, and then 5.5 down, I think, to Vegas from there. I think it's a 5.5-hour flight. Yeah, when you go direct, 10.5 hours, it's a lot less hassle.
Yeah, and especially stopping off in a different airport with your children. Let's talk about we could do. Actually, we ain't even gonna get into it, but traveling with children, God bless. That's an experience.
See, I've not done airports with kids yet, so that should be interesting. But yeah, we've done a fair bit of traveling around the UK with them. I wanted them to see a few different places around here, and obviously, we couldn't travel. Obviously, the last couple of years, so so we'll see how it goes.
All right, Beans, what do you think? Time to get out of here.
Amen.
All right, in pub fashion, though, we have to bury someone.
Okay.
You got anybody in mind?
One person. I feel like you have someone in mind when you say that.
I'd like to give it to the guest just in case. When we sign off, we got to put the boots to somebody.
Ah, man. I mean, any politician I want to name, I guess. Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister at the moment. He used to stick to Boris, but I'm like sticking to Rishi at the moment. God bless him. You know what I mean?
What's he doing to you guys over there?
Well, this is what you mean, that the guy who bought all the shares in the pharmaceutical companies about 3 years ago. Yeah, that guy. So he's done okay. His wife's a billionaire, one of the richest people in the country, and he has no concept.
Now he gets to be prime minister.
He gets to be prime minister, yeah, because he's had a private education. He has no idea of the hardship that he puts on others. That him and his pals are forced through Brexit, and now we can't even get tomatoes in our own bloody country. That's where we're at. So I'm going to stick it to Rishi.
All right. You heard it here first. Here's to those that wish us well. All the rest can go to hell. Fuck you, Rishi. Did I say that right?
It's close enough.
All right. Beans, it's been great. I appreciate you coming on. Cheers.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Everybody in the club getting tipsy. Everybody in the club getting tipsy. I won't deny it, I'm a straight rider. You don't wanna fuck with me. I got the police fussing at me, but they can't do nothing to a G.
Wow, it's very nice.